Hello everyone and welcome to Azam Sharp Weekly. And in this video, we are going to be looking at AWSAmplify and how you can use AWSAmplify with your SwiftUI application. Now, before we go into the implementation, let's go ahead and talk about what exactly is AWSAmplify. AWSAmplify is simply a set of tools provided by Amazon, basically the AWS team, that will allow you to quickly hook up your web applications, your mobile applications to some of the services that AWS provides. Now, if you go to their actual website, which is aws.amazon.com/amplify, you can take a look at many different things that you can hook up to, meaning many different features of AWSAmplify. You can perform authentication. You can perform data store, which means you can save to the data to your database, which is hosted on your own device. And then you can even sync it to the cloud services or with Amazon AWS. You can perform an API, you can create RESTful APIs and GraphQL APIs, functions, analytics, storage, meaning like if you want to upload some MP3 files or images, you can use that. Apart from that, the AWSAmplify allows you to perform many of the AWS operations. And as I said earlier, you can use it with your web applications. You can use it with your iPhone, Android, and you can see many different platforms allows you to use AWS. And AWSAmplify can be used in many different ways, meaning that you can use it using the CLI console, or you can use it some sort of an admin UI. So in this particular lecture or video, I'm going to show you more of a instructional video or instructional guidelines, not using basically the CLI part, but we will get to CLI later on in a different video. So there are a lot of different great resources on just the AWS website. As you can see, I'm on AWS. And now I'm on Getting Started page. And we're simply going to follow what they're asking us to do, create an app backend. So let's go ahead and get started. You can see over here that when we're creating a backend, do we need the data? Do we need authentication or file storage? Authentication basically means that you want to authenticate the user using the username and password. File storage simply means that you are asking the user that, hey, do you want to upload MP3 files or MP4 files or images or this and that? Data actually means we're setting up a DynamoDB database on the user's device, and later on, we can sync it with the cloud. But right now, we're not focused on syncing it to the cloud. We're just focused on creating a database. If you select data, it's going to give you multiple options. Do you want to use a to-do list schema, meaning this schema has already been created for to-do lists? It will consist of a to-do model that you can use. Do you want to use a blog schema? So perhaps this will have a post and a comment. Or do you want to start with a completely fresh schema, which will have nothing? Let's go ahead and start with a completely fresh schema. So we'll call it blank schema. Create a new schema. Now, we are using the online interface, so you can see that currently we are starting with the blank schema, so we don't really have any models associated with our application. I can use the add model and I can create a model. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see it clearly. There we go. Over here, they're asking us for the name of the model. I'm going to go ahead and say movie. ID is fine because when we're creating the model and we're persisting the model, we want something unique about that model to be persisted, and the ID will be the unique thing. I can go ahead and add a field where I can write title, which will be the title of the movie. And for now, we're just going to leave it like that. All right. Next up, we will go ahead and click on Test locally in your app, and it allows you to perform or select a platform, web, Android, cross-platform like Flutter. And we have selected iOS, so you can see that I'm going to select simply SwiftUI. Now it's basically saying create a new app. So it's basically giving us a little bit of instructions that, hey, perhaps you should go ahead and create a brand new app. After we have created the app, we have to make sure, and this is kind of like a one-time deal only, we have to make sure that we have installed the Amplify CLI. Because if we don't have Amplify CLI, then we cannot use the next command, which is going to use the Amplify CLI command amplify to pull a sandbox ID and this particular ID. So what's going to happen when you do that, and I'm going to show you what happens, is that it's going to create the movie model because we instructed that we will be using a movie model, and it's going to download the data store dependency and it's going to add it to our project. But we don't really have a project, right? I mean, we didn't really create any SwiftUI app, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let's go ahead and create our project. I'm going to go ahead and start Xcode, create a new project, and create an app. We will go ahead and say movie app, or I mean, you can name anything you want. Make sure that you select interface as SwiftUI. Where should I store it? On the desktop, it's perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and store it, and there we go. So that's our movie app we have just created, right? If you run this app, you'll see that it's nothing there because, well, you just created the app. So it's going to, and also make sure that you select something else, not this phone. Let's go ahead and select a different phone. There we go. Okay, so at least we have the app. The next thing that we're saying is that go to your app folder. So go to your movie terminal folder. So I'm going to go ahead and launch terminal. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into the movie app folder, which we just created. And inside the folder, I need to go ahead and run this command. The reason that I'm not running the first command is because I've already installed AWSAmplify CLI, and this is a one-time deal. So I've already done that. You should, if you have not installed AWSAmplify, you should definitely run the first command. Let's go ahead and copy this by clicking on it. And there we go. Let's go ahead and run it. So this is what this is going to do. Is going to go ahead and set up our AWSAmplify project, and it will also go ahead and create the model for us. So now if you go ahead and do ls, you can see that now you have a brand new folder called Amplify. Let's go next and see what they're saying now. Okay, so now we need to add the dependency for GitHub using these Swift packages. And the dependency is basically on this particular URL, which is our Amplify iOS. I'm going to click on that. And instead of using CocoaPods, I'm going to go ahead and open up my actual project, which is my movie app Xcode project. And let's go to Swift packages under File menu, add a package dependency. I already have the URL. I can paste it over here. And let's go ahead and press Next. This is perfectly fine. We're going to say Next. And we may need to select the packages that have been instructed in the documentation. So once that particular screen comes up, we will have to go back and see that which packages we need to select. So it's trying to resolve Amplify iOS right now, as you can see. Once it is done, it will present us with a screen of different packages and products, you can see. I believe we have to select Amplify. Let's go ahead and see what other things we select. AWS DataStore. And you can see plugin score and API plugins. So let's find plugin score and API plugin. All right, so finish. And now we have added these couple of dependencies for our movies application. It's still, index is still building. So hopefully once it is finished, we should be able to continue, but let's go move back. And now we need to go ahead and initialize our AWS Amplify. And the way that we will initialize it is by importing Amplify, importing AWS DataStore plugin, and then performing this part of code. So let's go back to our file. We will go ahead and open up the movie app. We will go to the actual starting point of our application. Let's go ahead and import Amplify. And if you look at the docs, you also have to import AWS DataStore plugin. So import AWS DataStore plugin. Next up, let's go ahead and create the init function. So I'm going to go ahead and create the init function, initialization function. And in the initialization, we're going to go ahead and create DataStore plugin, which will be AWS DataStore plugin. And you're going to pass in the model registration with Amplify models. Now they're saying that go ahead and pass in something called Amplify models, but there is no such thing as Amplify models. So one of the steps that was skipped and not mentioned in the AWS Amplify configuration is that you have to add an existing folder. So let me go to my actual application. I will say add files to movie app. And we need to make sure that the Amplify folder is added as a group to your project. There we go. Go ahead and build it. And there we go. Now Amplify models is actually working correctly. Next up, we're going to go ahead and call amplify.add a particular plugin, and the plugin that we are going to use will be the DataStore plugin. This can blow up, so that's why we're going to call it with the try. And again, we're going to call amplify.configure. This can also blow up, so we're going to call it with try. We will catch an exception. If there is an exception, and we can say enable to initialize AWS Amplify, and we can simply pass in the error. All right. On the other hand, if we are able to initialize, we will say AWS Amplify has been initialized. Perfect. All right. Now let's go ahead and run the app. What we're looking for is if the AWS Amplify is initialized, or are we going to face any issue. Our screen is not really going to display much, but what we are looking for is that message AWS has been initialized. And you can see, looks like AWS has been initialized. This is great. This means that we can now go ahead and start working on our application. All right, so I've created and I've pasted some interface. You can see that the interface consists of two text boxes. The first text box is used for the movie name, and the second text box is used for the movie description. But now you might be wondering, hold on a second, we only create the model which consisted of the name of the movie, which is also known as the title of the movie, but nothing for the description. So where is the description going to go? Even if you open up your project and check out the generated code for the movie class or the struct, you can see that the movie only contains the title, and it is only setting the title. There is no description of the movie. So one of the requirements now is that, well, we need to save the description also. So what I would do is I would try to go back, or we can simply click on this shared data model. And we will go ahead and click on this. This will bring us to our current model. You can see the movie model that we created earlier on, and go ahead and add a text field or a field for description, which is a string. Now, let's go to the same exact process. Make sure to run the following command. This is going to create your actual models, or it will update the models. So let's go back to our terminal. We are in a different folder. So let's go to the desktop and go to the movie app. Inside the movie app, we should be able to run this command again, which is going to get us the latest model. And it's done. And now magically you can see our description coming back, which is great. Because now we can save a description also. All right, so let's go next. I think we have done all of this stuff. Next. And now you can see it will even give you the code for how to create, update, delete, and query from your local database and save stuff to your local database and query your local database. Now, if I go over here and check out the actual code, you can see that the interface looks fine. I mean, it's pretty basic. One of the things that we can definitely do is create some view models. Because if we want to create it in a nice structured way, we can use MVVM design pattern. Right now, we don't really have any view model associated with anything. So I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new folder. I would call it view models. And I would try to add a new file. We will call it movie list view model. And we will create a view model, which will be movie list view model, which will be an observable object. I will also go ahead and import Amplify because we will be using that eventually. So we'll just go ahead and import it right now. In the movie list view model, I'm going to go ahead and create a property called movie name, which is string, and another called movie description, which is simply the description of the movie. This is a view model in the end. Now, since I have the movie name and movie description, I can go back to my content view, try to create an instance using state object private var, and I can call it movie list view model. We can initialize that. Since the movie list view model already consists of the properties for movie name and the movie description, I can simply go ahead and use the movie list view model.movie description, and I can simply go ahead and remove those individual properties. Okay. The next thing we need to do is to perform the save function when a person clicks on the save button. So I'm going to go to the save button and I will say movie list view model.save. There is no save function, by the way. I mean, you can look at it. We have not implemented any save function. Let's go ahead and implement save function by saying save. The first thing, I'm going to go ahead and create a movie. We will pass in not the ID itself, but we will pass in the title of the movie, which is movie name, and the description of the movie, which is movie description, which a person has entered in a text box. Next, we can call amplify.datastore.save, and saving a particular model, which in this case will be movie. It is going to give us a result, which will be of type result, which is a result type in Swift. And we can perform a switch on the result. For different cases, the first case will be success, and we will get the saved movie. We can do something with this movie if we want to. Right now, I don't really think we want to do anything with the movie, so I'm just going to pass kind of like this and print out success. The other case will be the failure case, where you will get an error. And we can go ahead and display the error. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. And that's it. That will allow you to save a movie model to the Amplify DataStore, which is DynamoDB, on the device itself. All right. Now this is fine, but good idea to actually get all the movies and display it, right? So we'll go over here we'll create a function called getAll. We can use amplify.datastore.query a model type, which in this case is movie.self as a type. And again, we'll get the result. So it's kind of like the same thing. You will see that their API is very fluent and it's very similar for performing all of these different operations. And you already guessed it's going to give you success and we'll get all the movies. And then we can do something with the movies. Right now, I'm just going to go ahead and print out the movies, but you can do whatever you want with the movies. And then we'll get the failure. Again, it's going to be the same thing. We'll get the failure and we can go ahead and, display the failure. Now we can't really send, or we shouldn't really send these movies to the interface, to the screen, because this is more like the model. And in order to send something to the screen, to the UI, we should create a view model. So I'm going to go ahead and copy a model and we will change it. Don't worry about too much about it. Here we go. It's not a to-do item view model. It's a movie view model. It's going to take in a movie, which is of type movie. And I think else everything should be same. We'll just remove and replace a to-do with movie. So that's our movie view model, kind of like a read-only model. All right. So once we get all the movies, we will go ahead and iterate over the movies using the map function, and we will construct a movie view model, which we can assign to somewhere over here. We can say published var movies, which is of type movie view model. That is something that we will eventually give it to the UI, and we will go ahead and assign it to movies. All right. Now, since we're assigning it, and that is marked with publish, probably a good idea, first of all, to use self. And we need to dispatch queue.main.async and perform all of this stuff over there. All right, let's see where the problem is. I don't think movie has a name. It has a title, which we can send. And if the title is null, then return empty. Cool. All right, so now let's go back to our movie app, which is our content over here. We are already calling the save function, which is right there. And over here, we're displaying a list of numbers, which obviously doesn't make any sense. So this is somewhere where we can go ahead and use the movie list view model.movies. We're going to use the ID as a hashable item, movie. And then eventually over here, we can display movie.name. There we go. We also want our movies to be populated once we load the page for the first time. For that, I'm going to go ahead and say movie list view model.getAll. And that is going to get all movies when the page actually, or the view actually loads. Let's go ahead and run this and see if it works or not. I'm going to go ahead and enter a movie. Let's call it Lord of the Rings. This is a great movie, some sort of a description. Save it. And you can see it's not appearing over here. So we need to figure out what actually happened. Did it even save the movie, or were the movie not even saved? If I go ahead and run it again, I can see Lord of the Rings being added, right? I can definitely see that. So it looks like it is working, but one thing that we missed out on is when you are successful, you need to call getAllMovies so that you can refresh the movies. The other thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that our view is a little bit better, meaning we can go ahead and add it inside some sort of a vertical stack. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this inside a VStack. And we will go ahead and say movie.description. go ahead and do some alignment over here. Alignment can be leading, and we can even give some sort of a spacing of like 5. Font for the movie, again, this is kind of completely up to you. We can use a system font for the headline. So headline font, and the other font should be okay. There we go. All right. So you can see that now it looks pretty good. We can also go ahead and say list style, and we can say plain list style. And it looks really nice. Let's go ahead and add another movie. Let's go ahead and say Spider-Man. This is a great movie. It's weird. It should have got added, but for some reason it's not adding. Okay, let's go ahead and see what's going on over here. Okay, so this is adding over here, but not when I save. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. Go ahead and try to run this in an actual simulator. There might be a bug in the Xcode preview, but let's go ahead and add it over here. So I'm going to go ahead and say Spider-Man, and I will say this is a great movie. There we go. So it works perfectly fine. You can see that it is actually adding Spider-Man 2, great movie 2, and all that stuff. So now the question is, well, okay, we have added the movie. That's great. It would be nice if we can clear up these fields after adding, and it would be nice if we are able to delete a movie also. So clearing up the fields is actually pretty simple. Let's go back to our view model. And you can do this in the view model. You can also do this in your actual view. I'm just going to say clear fields. And what it will do is it will simply set the movie name to be nothing and movie description to be nothing. All right. And in the content view, when we are adding the movie, we will simply call, after adding the movie, we'll simply call clear fields. So that will clear it up. Now the part of that, if you want to delete a movie, we have to go back over here and we need to implement a function to delete a particular movie, which is very similar to the other function that we implemented. So I'm going to go ahead and say delete movie. And we are going to get a movie which will be of type movie view model because it will be coming from the interface. And now I can simply just copy paste the code and you will understand that. We'll update the code, don't worry about it. And there we go. Amplify.datastore.delete. We will use the movie ID to delete the movie. There's actually a function in delete which is called with ID, and that will allow you to delete the movie. But we need to provide that functionality to the UI also, so the UI can delete the movie. So let's go back to the UI. And we will see, we will have to ignore the list in this case, I guess. And all of the stuff that we have done over here, well, kind of like all of this, we have to do inside of for each. So movie list dot movies and ID will be ID. We will get a movie in, and then we can do the same thing. I'm just going to copy some code for the to-do list and we can change it. So it should be movie.name and movie.description. Let's go and select it. Control I, just so that it can be formatted a little bit nicer. So with the for each, we should have access to the onDelete. So I can say onDelete and perform a function which will be delete movie. There is no such function as delete movie. So let's go ahead and create that function. Over here is fine, I guess. Delete movie function. It's a special function, so it has to be this signature where you get the index set, which is of type index set. And now I can go ahead and go through the index set dot for each. I will get a particular index in, and I will get a movie that I want to delete. I will look into the movie list dot movies, get the index of the movie, and then I will perform movie list view model dot delete a movie, passing in the movie. And hopefully that will get deleted. Now, after it gets deleted, we also want to make sure that our movie is refreshed. So let's go back to our view model and see what's going on in the delete. So this is deleting, and then it's calling success get all. Go and run it. If we swipe, now you can see the delete button, and now I can delete the movie. If I want to add a movie, Lord of the Rings, this is a good movie. I can add the movie. I can delete the movie. And there you go. So we have seen all the very common operations you can perform with Amplify using the data store, which means that it's going to save all of this stuff into your local device. It's not going to upload or sync it with the cloud. We will take a look at it maybe in the future, but right now it is saving it on your device. And you can see that the whole APIs that are provided by Amplify are very nice and easy to use. So I really hope that you have enjoyed this video, and also make sure to try out AWS Amplify. Once again, if you like this video and want to support my channel, then the best way would be to check out Udemy. And Udemy, I have a lot of courses. I just released a brand new course on core data. You can see it's already a bestseller with a great rating. Definitely check out that course, close to 9 hours of core data content. I also have a lot of courses on SwiftUI. If you're learning SwiftUI, then this is a course that you should start with. This is an amazing course, 22 plus hours of content. Apart from that, I have another course that I just released. If you want to increase your income as a developer, meaning as a web developer, as an iOS developer, mobile developer, any kind of a developer, if you want to increase your income, the passive income for developers is a course for this. It's a short course for 2 hours long, and you can see it's a bestseller in the category also. So definitely, I would say check out all of these courses. These are really amazing courses, and the link for these courses is right there in the YouTube description, so check it out. One other thing, if you like my videos, then maybe perhaps you want to buy me a cup of coffee. I love coffee, so definitely check out the link also for ko-fi.com/AwsamSharp, and you can buy me a cup of coffee just for appreciation. Thank you so much, and hope you have enjoyed the video.